It is my pleasure to introduce Orville Reid. He is a second-term president of Top of Morning Toastmaster Club and returning director for Area 21. Leadership positions held by Mr. Reid include program director and lecturer at the School of Entrepreneurship, University of Technology, Jamaica, head of school at the Vocational Training Development Institute, president of the Golden Meadow Citizens Association, and manager at the Alkali Group of Companies. Orville is a distinguished president of the Kiwanis Club of Stony Hill, Jamaica, leading the club to an International Project Award in 2002. He is the founder and owner of Focus Capital Training, LLC. He has many years' experience in higher education administration, business administration, online trading, and aircraft maintenance engineering. Orville has the distinction Masters of Business Administration, a first-class honors degree in management, a postgraduate diploma in education and training, and an associate degree in aerospace engineering. Orville is also a committed Christian, is married to Lorna, and has 2 adult children, Natasha and Sebastian. And his leadership quote is, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Author unknown. Please help me welcome Orville.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for that introduction. And welcome everyone to our Leadership 101 session. I see Mary, Carrie, Laura, Lisa, and Pearl, and someone else there. I don't know if it's, I'm not sure who it is. But I'm going to share my screen and then we will begin. Hope you're seeing my screen. Hope it's not covered by the pictures. It's my pleasure to be leading this session. And we're going to be having contributions as we go through. So where possible, I ask that you limit your response times to 1 minute so that we can get through the session in a timely way. In a moment, I'll ask you to say something about yourself as it relates to leadership that we will be looking on. So we're going to move forward. And our agenda, we'll be covering leadership, a brief leadership competence assessment, followed by the presentation from one of the Leadership Excellence series, and look at leadership beyond the club. And then we will adjourn. So leadership is the art of motivating a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. So says author Susan Ward. And from the Toastmasters Leadership Excellence series, I took out these list of competences. I summarized them a bit, but nonetheless, this is what there is. And I'm going to ask you at this time to look at this listing. Which of these, where are your strengths? Which of these are you good at? I want you to select one of the competencies that you are good at. Also, look at the list again. Which area would you choose for improvement? If you had to choose one, what would you choose for improvement to work on? I'm going to be asking you in a moment to introduce yourself again, just saying which club you're from and what's your role, and then tell us which one of these you chose for your leadership, your strength, your strong competence, and which one, if you had to work on one, which one would you choose to work on? Now, as persons present, I know it's not many of us here at the moment, but I think it'd be good for us to note the persons whose strong area is the area that we selected for improvement, because maybe there is some networking and mentoring opportunities here. We could link up with each other and grow. All right, so at this time, go ahead and do that for me. Select, and as soon as you're ready, indicate so we can start.
I can start, Orville.
Okay, go ahead.
And I also want to remind everyone that this session is being recorded. So just always want to put that warning out there when we're asking other people to contribute, that it will be available for other people to pick up and watch later. But what I would say my strongest competency on this list would be the coaching and providing feedback. We have some really great training sessions at my company, Farm Bureau, on coaching in the moment. And we have learned and practiced quite a bit of coaching techniques, asking questions, trying to get the staff people to find their own way rather than giving the answers. So I think I'm relatively good at that. What I would probably like to get better at is the goal setting and planning, more of the having a more step-by-step plan. I am more of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of gal in a lot of ways, which works out fine usually, but planning would be a good thing for me to work a little harder on.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Orville, this is Laura. I'll go next.
Go ahead.
For myself, I'm Laura Crofit. I belong to Siouxland Ciceros, which is in South Sioux City, Nebraska, as well as Top of the Morning, which is in Sioux City, Iowa. As to my strengths, I enjoy motivating people, encouraging people, building them up, seeing what they have within themselves and go for it, helping them along the way. What I do struggle with is, while I can see the vision and create the vision, I have troubles following through developing the mission. What do I do first? Outlining it. Instead, much like Carrie, I want to jump right in and just start doing it by the seat of my pants. So having that development stage is what I struggle with. Thank you, Orville.
Thank you. Who's next?
I can go next. I'm Pearl Fernandez. I'm a member of 1100 Toastmasters clubs. We meet downtown. I would say between 2 to 6 are my strengths: the goal setting and planning, delegation. I would say off that, team building and coaching. That's the ones that I would definitely say are my strengths, because I work extensively with teams. I do a lot of coaching with them, one-on-one as well as a team, helping them work together as a team. So that's why, to me, they go hand in hand, because you're coaching somebody personally so that they can work together as a team. What I definitely would require work on would be conflict resolution. Not my favorite area. I think that's where I struggle sometimes, especially not so much conflict between two other people. It's more conflict when you have a conflict with someone, you don't want to approach it just because you don't want to antagonize the other person too much. So I think trying to not head on tackle the conflict, but also being diplomatic enough to reach a win-win situation with the other person.
Thank you. Okay. Who's next?
Go.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mary Schulte. I'm a member of North Dodge in Iowa City and Game Changers in Cedar Rapids. North Dodge next March 1st is going to have its 15-year anniversary. Yay. My strength, I believe, is goal setting and planning. And my area that definitely needs work is conflict resolution. I do everything to avoid conflict. in dealing with it. So that needs work.
Okay, great. Do we have other persons? No, that's it? Carrie, there isn't anyone else, is there? 'Cause I'm not seeing properly.
No,
Okay,
the person that's logged in as the Huddle, that's for recording. So that could potentially be Matthew or Cindy jumping in, but sometimes they're on and sometimes they're not on. So
okay. All right, no problem, great. I have not shared my areas, but my strong area, I'd have to say, is goal setting and planning. And there I have a twin in Mary Schulte. Excellent. In terms of the area that I'd like to work on, it is motivating people. So guess what? That's the one I chose because I understand the best way to learn something is to teach it. So here we go. And I do hope that as we go through this, the reason why I chose it as well was because I think it touches on many of the other leadership competences, team building, and so on, right? So, so I'm hoping that by doing this today, we will get something that can be applied to our individual areas. But I can see some of the persons who have talked about their strengths that I could learn from you guys, and I've made a note of it for follow-up work. Now, what are some of the things that we need club members to be motivated to do? And it's just a few of us, so maybe we can talk about it. I'd have wanted it in the chat box so that we can compare notes. You want to go ahead to show up? Yes. Speak. Yeah. Take on roles. Excellent, excellent. Right. So we're seeing a list of things that we all can relate to. So I enumerated them. I've heard one person in one of the earlier sessions say that she took her 7 months before she did her icebreaker speech. We want to get people to be motivated to give their speeches, to give scheduled speeches. Sometimes you schedule someone for a speech and they somehow have a work engagement whenever they're to speak, to invite guests, inviting guests, attending meetings, especially online meetings with the challenges that we have now. And I saw it there where we had filling meeting roles with the smaller clubs that we have now. Double and triple roles sometimes have to be taken on to get on the Pathways educational program. There are still some persons, in fact, one club that I'm responsible for, one of their challenge why they're not currently functional is because of the Pathways program. They were not able to get on because they're older, retired persons, and they had, even those who could technically get onto it, they were accustomed to the older approach and they wanted the paper, they liked that. So there's that we need to motivate people to responding to their messages on a timely basis or within 48 hours or whatever time that we agree on. And of course, attending district, area, and divisional events. So if we could motivate persons, maybe, although we had a good 58 persons today, we might have been able to get more. And to take on leadership roles in the club and beyond. And we talk a little about succession planning and so on. But these are some of the places where motivation is important, and completing education programs. We also need to motivate visitors to attend our clubs. Yeah. And once they come, to come again and to join the club. At our club since the pandemic, we've had maybe 3, 4, or 5 visitors even who have turned up. But have they joined? No, not so much. Though we were able to have a person who started before actually coming in during the pandemic. Now, I'm going to do a reflective exercise looking a little more closely at motivation. And this is for all of you. I want you to do this. Think of something that you really, really wanted to do. And then you followed through and did that thing. Think about it. What was your reason or motivation for wanting to do that thing? As soon as you're ready, I want someone to share what was the thing and what was your reason or motivation for wanting to do that thing.
This is Mary. For me, I would say it was my HPL, and it goes along with my strengths of goal setting and planning. That was a goal, and I wanted to do it, and I planned it, and I did it, and I felt good about it.
Right. And you were to say your reason for or motivation for wanting to do it.
The award.
Get the award. And why did you want the award? What was your motivation for getting the award? What caused you to think of that?
That's a tough question. It was something that I wanted to do, and I was on the traditional path, and it had to be done by the end of last year. So I guess it's just because I felt I should be able to do it, and I wanted to, for the feeling of success.
Feeling of success. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Would you say then that the ultimate motivation for this was internal, intrinsic, maybe emanating from signals in your environment that said, this is something that is desirable, and I want to feel that feeling of success that goes along with achieving this award. And so that was your ultimate motivation.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Is there someone else who wants to share on this exercise?
Hi, Orville. This is Laura. Something that I really, really wanted to do, ever since I became an aunt, I wanted to write a children's book. I struggled in school with the English language, putting my words in the correct order, where the commas go, etc. So to do that, I was like, no, I can't do that. It has been in the back of my head ever since I became an aunt 30 years ago. So for me, it was, I apologize, somebody was at the door. It was something that I really struggled with, but I really wanted to do. This early spring, February, March timeframe, I had this overpowering sense I needed to write a children's book right now. I handle workers' compensation claims for the industry, the trucking industry. So I wrote a children's book about a rusty red semi truck that was meant for little kids of truckers, grandparents, whoever the trucker was that knew children. It was also a book for the children of the employees where I worked for. It went over with great success. It's in the process of being tweaked by our publishing. Not only did I write it, I also did the graphics for it, the illustrations. That was way, way, way beyond my expectations of what I thought that I could do. I did not think I could do that. I had so much self-doubt, but I did it, And why did I do it? Because I want to see a smile on children's faces. Thank you, Orville.
Thank you very much, Laura. So you wanted your reason, you wanted to see a smile on children's faces because it made them happy. And so that was your motivation for doing it. All right, let us move to the next one. And I just want one person to respond to this. Think of a time, all of us do the exercise. Think of a time when someone motivated you to do something. What was that thing and what did they do that motivated you? Ready? Someone who didn't speak first could go for it this time around.
Well, I'll go, Orville. I have someone at work who I would probably put in the mentor category. She's not a direct supervisor of me, but a level up, and I have a pretty good opportunities to talk with her quite a bit. And she has just a lot of little pearls of wisdom that she gives to me every so often. And one of the things that she suggested that I do back many years ago is we have a women's organization at work that puts on programs and a bunch of things that we do social, and there is a volunteer arm of it, and a bunch of different things that happen. And I just really hadn't been all that involved in it because I had plenty of other things to do. And at some point she said, hey, I noticed that you haven't really been involved in this. I'm like, well, yeah, I've shown up to some things, I've participated. But she said to me, it's like, well, you've been an observer, but you really haven't participated. And that really struck me, because I thought, you know what, she is right. I've shown up when there were events and watched, but I hadn't really taken a step to help that group along. And I'm a big proponent of, just like in Toastmasters, if you're getting benefit from a group, you should step up and then share that benefit with others. So she did motivate me to do some more, to get more involved in that organization.
Thank you very much, Carrie. So let's look at the process of motivation, given what we just heard a while ago. We recognize that motivating people is indeed a complex undertaking, and that a person's motivation is their reason for acting or behaving in a particular way. There are things called motivation tools, which are external communication devices which individuals use to send signals to someone they wish to motivate. But only the recipient can get themselves to act, speak, or think in a given way. If the motivation signals are interpreted positively, it will spark internal motivation leading to desired action. As we saw a while ago, that much of the motivation seemed to have come from, at least from external diverse signals. So persons internalized it, and then they were able to self-motivate. But Carrie told us of one instance where somebody actually motivated her in that way. Just to broaden the motivation story a little so that we can apply it in other situations, I watched the video once where the presenter of the video told us about how she motivated her young adopted son from Africa to go to bed on time before he could even speak the English language. She observed him. She watched him, observed him, and realized that he wanted a bike like the other kids in the community. So she took him to where the bikes were sold and took a picture of him sitting on the bike. Then she printed and placed that picture on a chart with a seat above his bed with a series of blank spaces leading to the bike. Each time that he went to bed on time, she placed a star in the next blank space leading to the bike. Her son quickly got the message and started going to bed on time. We realize that from time to time, we have reasons to motivate others, as we have said about the fact that in Toastmasters, there are all of these things that we would love if we could get someone to do. When we want someone to do something, we're seeking to motivate them to take a particular action or to do something or to think a certain way. And in those instances, the words and the phrases that we use, our tone of voice, and even our body language are important. If we, for instance, ask somebody, I heard this cute one, for their autograph on a work or club document with a bright smile, we're much more likely to get a positive, enthusiastic response than if we just simply ask them for their signature, even if it is their job to sign the document. When you're motivating team members, here are some things that we need to do to be successful. We need to provide encouragement. We need to match their skills with the job, reward properly, and eliminate environmental obstacles. We're going to run through some of these quickly, and we motivate, we creating a motivating environment. It is like, I worked as an educator for many years, and it is said, you cannot force someone to learn. You cannot learn for someone, but you can create an environment which is conducive to learning. And if you do that, then you increase the probability that the person will learn. So in the same way, leaders must understand what motivates team members, and they need to provide that opportunity for them to fulfill their personal motives, wants, and desires while fulfilling the organization's missions as well. So as an administrator at the university, my program coordinators, if one of them came to me and said, oh, I need half day off next week to go and do some personal business, guess what I would say? I'd say yes, yes, please go. I'd always say yes, unless there was some dire emergency to which they needed to attend to in the organization. Those persons, their commitment grew, and I could count on them in difficult times because I allowed them to fulfill their personal desires while fulfilling the organization's mandate as well. We need to encourage by being available. We have to be available to give help. We have to be available to answer questions that the persons have. And successful leaders recognize that it is a team member that has to take the final step in the motivation process. So they give support by being a coach and a mentor. Now, in terms of motivation tools, here are the motivation tools that we talked about earlier. Here are some of them when we mentioned motivation tools: praise, public recognition, promotion, more responsibility, and even money. However, for Toastmasters, there's no money involved. Yeah? How do we motivate volunteers when there is no money? Your answers, please. What do you think? What are some things that we need to do? Who's going first? Quickly, be brief, but let's hear it.
This is Laura.
Rec-
Oh, go ahead, Carrie. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, we have recognition and praise entered in the chat so far.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. Recognition and praise. Yes.
Make things fun, exciting, so they're more entitled or more excited about coming back.
Excellent. 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 So here are some that I have in terms of motivating team members who are not, show them respect. I've worked at some places where the boss did not show the workers respect. If you do that with volunteers, you're not likely to have them around for very long. Building team spirit, creating a buzz in that environment is a part of it, and making it fun, as Laura said, would be part of it. And of course, we talked about being available. It's one that says communicate, being available to listen, to help, and to answer questions. Answering questions is part of that scaffolding, where sometimes that's the thing that somebody needs to move to the next level or to get past an issue that they have. And I saw showing recognition and appreciation, providing training as some of those as well. So the second thing that we need to do is to match the skills to the jobs. And first of all, identifying their talents and their skills and providing the opportunities for them to use their natural skills. If you think about it, there are things that people want to do naturally. And if they're able to get that opportunity, they're motivated to do those things, and we're able to identify and match them with those opportunities, then chances are they're willing to take those on and to do very well in it. And rewarding properly, recognizing positive behavior immediately, and then formally later on saying, way to go, good job, great job. Initial recognition, very good, because it helps with repeating of the behavior. And if the organization wants to promote excellence, then they should reward only behaviors that exceed normal standards and only behaviors that are in alignment with those standards. However, if undesirable behaviors occur and we do not treat with those, we're in a sense giving that word fails me, but nonetheless, we're basically allowing that behavior as though nothing were wrong with it. And that can demotivate other good members. So we need to address undesirable behaviors as well. And eliminating obstacles in the environment which would cause problems. So in a general way, if you think about in the United States, eliminating rules that unfairly target minorities would be one example. Or in a club meeting, if there's something that is bothering the club members, then the VPE or the president or so, if they can make that adjustment in the club schedule, that might help the member to do well. I remember when I just became a Toastmaster, and the K, who was the VPE at the time, when she was scheduling the speeches, somehow she seemed to have read my mind as to when I wanted to speak, which parts I wanted to be on. And that made it so much more easy for me to be able to move forward. All right, at this time, we will say first, when a leader understands what inspires and motivates individual team members to perform well and rewards them properly, the team can produce those amazing results for which people were awarded today. What did you think of the reflective exercise that we did and the results that we got in terms of what people said? This is your chance to respond quickly.
Orville, I think it's interesting to think about why we do things, because I don't think that's something that we often consider or reflect upon. We usually do what's set in front of us or do what comes around or the next opportunity, but that figuring out what motivated us to do it, I think is a great exercise.
Okay. Mary, you're going to say something, no?
No, just that I totally agree, because I honestly never thought about why I was doing it in the HBL. I just did it.
Yeah. Part of the purpose of the exercise is to recognize that the club members that we have, they are in our position in terms of they do things because they're motivated by something, whether it be external, their environment, or by individuals. So all of the things that we do, we have a motivation for it. We have a reason for doing it. And I realize that sometimes indirect motivation is more useful than direct motivation, because sometimes if I'm going to wash the plates anyway and my wife says, go and wash the plates, somehow the joy associated with washing the plates just dissipates. Persons sometimes want to feel as though they did this thing on their own volition. They came up with this idea, and there's a certain pride in terms of recognizing that I was able to accomplish this thing that I set out to do, that I wanted to do. You want to say something, Carrie?
No, I was going to ask how you find out what motivates your team or your club members.
Okay, the part of it is to observe them. Remember the story with the mother and the child? Observe them, and we will see more as we go into the next part of this presentation, that we have to have one-on-one conversations with our club members. So therefore, I know that as a president, there are some of our club members that I've not really had one-on-one in-person conversation with, but sometimes we do have emails and so on. But when we do that, that's where we're going to start understanding their goals and their motivations, so that we can actually create that environment that will help them. If you tell people to wear face masks, guess what's going to happen? If you tell people that, oh, tell your husband, oh, you need to go back to school, guess what's going to happen? People find their motivation in the strangest places and in diverse ways. But there's still something that we can do to get in on that loop, so that we can create that environment which helps them. All right, we're going to look at becoming a motivational leader. What are some things that a leader can do to become a motivational leader? Am I a motivational leader? That's a question for ourselves. Do people say, you motivate me? I am motivated because of you. What are some of the things that a leader can do to become a motivational leader? Any quick responses to that one?
Yes, Orville,
Yes.
as a leader, one needs to listen. I personally feel like not only do you need to listen, but you need to do, and not order others to do something, but instead to listen, take what they say, and use that to benefit everyone in the company.
Okay. I totally agree with you. I think that that's a very important thing. When people realize that you listen and that you care, that you actually incorporate what they say in your decisions, then that will help. Now, I've been thinking about this, and one of the things that I recognize is that as leaders, we need to set aside time to develop ourselves and to develop our leadership skills and our motivational skills. How many of us actually purposely set about to develop our motivational skills? We can be an inspiring role model. As one of the presenters earlier said, that when we are the best of ourselves, we inspire others to be the best of themselves as well. We have to hone our motivational skills through practice, experimenting with different methods of motivating team members. So we have different methods, we have different tools. Try this one, try the other. We have a situation in our club where it's not really happening. We may say, boy, it's really tough, but maybe it's an opportunity. We could see it as an opportunity to experiment with motivational techniques and to develop our motivational skills. Of course, we talked earlier about getting to know members and their individual goals and motivations in one-on-one conversations. If we can work on projects together, that will also help us to develop a kind of friendship relationship where we can actually see what motivates and inspires others. And incentive schemes, developing incentive schemes, clarifying the requirements for attaining them, and reminding members regularly that these are the requirements will help. I was really motivated today by all of the awards that were given, and I felt a little bit bad because I'm accustomed to getting awards and I didn't get any. So, well, I did get one, but it wasn't one that was mentioned with my name, right? So, you know, it's one of those things, you won't get it all the while, but nonetheless, continue working, right? Create opportunity for members to achieve their education development goals. Schedule those speeches. But I have a little thing, the person not here, so I can mention it sometimes. The way that we schedule speeches, the way that can help a lot. I remember at the university, I would ask the lecturers, because I was part of my responsibility was to, you say schedule, so let me use the word schedule, to schedule, work with the lecturer's schedule as well. And before the beginning of the semester, I would send out a request for preferred lecturer schedule, so that they would send it to me and I would incorporate as much as possible. Because guess what? Some of them, the reason why they wanted to be off on a Thursday evening was because they were president of a Toastmaster club or a Rotary club or a member or something, and they need to go. And if we prevent them from doing that, guess what? They will be disgruntled. They will not get the kind of support that we want, right? So let's think about that. Speak positively about each member and about their, in public and in club meetings. Be proactive in identifying members to thank. And I'm not telling you that I'm perfect at this. Remember, I said I'm doing motivation because it is something that I want to grow in as well. So identify members observe them with a view of catching them not doing wrong, but doing right, going beyond the call of duty, and prepare some rewards in advance of member performance. I've seen some of that in this district where the leadership have actually prepared these rewards in advance. They've provided the incentives, and so that when the person does what they're supposed to do, the rewards can come very quickly. Tailor the rewards to meet member preference. Not everyone is motivated by the same reward structure or systems. All right, are there any questions or comments on this section? It was new to me. It was apparently you guys are past masters at this thing, so therefore, you know, I was talking mainly to myself, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to move to the last part, leadership opportunities beyond the club. And there are no new persons here. I'm sure all of us are acquainted with the different layers that exist beyond our club, our area, our division, our district, our region, and Toastmasters International. And the structure, a little more detail, is shown here. And what I've noticed, because we all are aware of all of these areas, I'll just do an overview. What I've noticed is that the international, all the officers are usually in place, the board of directors, and at world headquarters, I suppose is where they produce the magazines and the pathways program and all of that, right? So all of the officers are usually in place here, hopefully also at headquarters, and somehow we're able to get most of our officers in place for our district at the district level. And by the way, just in case we're not clear, the district executive committee is the main committee at this level, but a broader committee includes the district council. So it's the district executive and the club presidents and vice presidents of education that makes that up. So we're usually able to get most of these people here in place. But here at the division council level, where these recommended places are, lots of leadership opportunities. And here at the area council, lots of leadership opportunities, because we're never usually able to fill those areas. Oftentimes we're able to get to fill the club executive positions, So here, not only opportunities are there for leadership, but also opportunities for us to practice our motivational skills to get people to be on the path to fill some of these positions. And I heard Teresa talk a little about this today, because for me, this is one of the areas that needed a little more clarification, where we have 2 region advisors per region. And it's on this chart here where we have the region advisors where they seem to be reporting to regions, but then, you know, what exactly? But in the Leadership 101 file that was put on Google Drive, we have a description, job description for both the international directors and I think for region advisors. And we're finding that the region advisors are assigned to districts to help to support the district in achieving their mission and to mentor district leaders and to assess and assist with marketing and PR strategies and to serve as link between the district and the headquarters. And they're assigned by the president, international president, while international directors, they are members of the board and they're elected for 2 years and they represent each one of 14 Toastmaster international regions. And in our last convention, international convention, there was a proposal to make a change to this where the the persons, I think it would be 2-7, or, you know, there was a change that would cause people from a different region to be able to represent a region that they're not in, but nonetheless that failed. So it continues to be this way as we have it here. And I've also learned a little about advanced clubs, which also helps to prepare leaders in different ways, because we can become leaders through development of parliamentary procedures, evaluation and feedback. And we have advanced clubs that are focused on each of these areas: storytelling, presentation style, and the long form presentations. So if you want to hone your skills, you can join another club, which will be one of these advanced clubs, which I have information for, and develop that. And then become a club coach or a club mentor. Those are additional leadership opportunities beyond the club. So my question is, where could you apply your area of leadership strength to benefit Toastmasters? What is your next leadership challenge? I know that some of you are been in this thing a long time ago. I don't know if you're willing to take on more, but if you can, then there are opportunities. Do not be like the servant in the Bible story who only got 1 talent, only 1 talent. So guess what he did? He dug a hole and hid it in the ground. Time for your questions, your comments, your commendations, maybe. I don't know. Okay.
Orville,
Yes, Lauren.
this is Laura. Thank you very much to not only yourself, but everyone who's participated here today. The first of today's, when we started at 3:05, was very enlightening because it allowed us to be a part of your presentation, and I appreciate that, because it not only keeps us from having a boring speech by listening to the commentator only and not being able to ask questions or make comments, it also motivates ourselves. I would love to see, if you ever do this presentation again, maybe addressing the conflict resolution. That was something that was brought up by several of the people that they struggle with, and that might be something to think about in the future. I appreciate you very much, Orville. We've known each other for years, but again, thank you very much for your presentation, and I enjoyed hearing what Mary, Carrie, and Pearl, all of you had to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, if there are, I see Carrie's mic off, and I know she's always ready to say something, even just to help me out.
Well, I do think it was a great presentation, Orville. I like the idea of thinking about what your own motivation is and trying to use your existing skills to maybe dip your toe into some leadership position that is reasonably comfortable to take that first step, and then stretching yourself after that. So if, because I know some people have the goal, well, I want to make it through all these levels of leadership. Maybe your goal is that you want to be an international director someday.
Yeah.
But that doesn't have to be your goal. You can participate and learn and grow and help the district in all sorts of ways.
Thank you very much. I don't want to prevent anyone from speaking if they want to.
That was a great session, Orville. At one point I was supposed to answer and I was like, in interest of time, I'm going to keep quiet. But at the point when you were talking about what motivates you, and I was thinking in my head of accountability. The reason why I'm sharing it now is sometimes I feel, I will use my own example. A lot of my education awards in Toastmasters got done because I was a leader and I had to show accountability toward my role. So it wasn't so much intrinsic as it was extrinsic. As the club president, I cannot tell my club members, or as the vice president education, I cannot tell the club members to go do your CC or CL if I myself have not finished my CC. So I had to do in action. And then that's how my ACB got done, because I was the area director, and I cannot be an area director who themselves have not done an education award in the entire year. So it was that accountability. Any role that I took up was because somebody asked me to take up the role or because something had to come. So the reason why I share that story is there may be members in your own clubs that they just need somebody else to push them or hold them accountable, so that they can then go ahead and do it. You know, it might just be that small push to say, oh, the club needs this for DCP or something along those lines. Then when they have a goal to go for, or like Mary said in the start, I finished all of my awards till then, and then finally I had only my ACG left, and that is because anyone who knows me knows that I hate giving speeches. It still stays to this day, the preparing of the speech and everything. And so it took me, I finished all my awards because I had leadership roles and I had to give them to hold myself accountable, so I can tell people that I'm working with that I am working on my own education awards. So I'm, you know, in the same race with you. But then when I moved to the US, I kind of let it slack off because there's nobody to hold me accountable. My club's not going to ask me. Nobody's going to do it. And then the program was ending. So it's like, you know, now you're on fire. You have to get it done. So at that point, I had my friends back in India who were like, you've come way too far to now stop. So you have to get this done. And I think it was that accountability that, oh, I have to get it done, which pushed me towards the last bit. If not, I would have still kept holding on to it. And I think, like Mary said in the start, you know, it was the program's ending. You have to get it done. You cannot go beyond that right now.
Yeah. Okay. What do we want to create those, any artificial pressures for all members to get them to?
Yeah.
I think it's not so much yet pressuring them as much as giving them something to strive for. So if you tell me, oh, go give a speech, I'm probably not going to do it. But if you say, oh, the club needs a level 1 path, you know, hey, do you think you can get done? If you still come and tell me, go give a speech, I probably will say, no, I'm not ready for it. I'll do it next month. I'll keep procrastinating till I can keep procrastinating because I have to prepare for it. But I think identifying what that member wants, what motivates them, and using that to say, hey, the club needs it, or, you know, some other way of what they look at as a team goal or a common goal that I'm achieving toward. Because to me, getting CC wasn't a big deal. But because my club needed it, I got it done.
Excellent, excellent. We're running short on time, but this part for me is the best part of the presentation so far. Where I'm actually learning more. So that I wish if I did this presentation again, I'd leave more time for this kind of discussion because I'm learning from you guys who are so senior in this thing. But in terms of recapping, we looked at leadership competencies, how to go about motivating people, what we can do to become a motivational leader, and we looked at the leadership beyond the club level. And I want to say thank you for those of you who somehow found the reason to attend. I want to also thank all those who helped me with my preparation for this. Matthew for responding to my questions, Carrie for responding to my SOS call, and Teresa. You guys are great, don't know how you do it. You need to share some of those trends so we can learn from it. Thank you very much and all the best, all the best.
Thank you so much.